So we're episode 29. We've got Richard Hastings in the studio. Well, not in the studio. We're remote today. But Richard, you're my first international football player on the podcast. I'm actually quite privileged to have you on the podcast for that fact. We're going to get a little bit into your international career in a little bit. I start off the podcast with the same question for everyone. And I'm a little bit interested because doing my research into you, I found out kind of where you were born and things like that, and a little bit about your upbringing. So how good a football player were you as a kid, and at what age did you realise you had a little bit of potential?
Yeah, so like I say, I grew up I was born and then grew up in Canada, and then I moved about a week after my 7th birthday. So up until I was 7, so in Canada, I literally didn't play any sort of structured football at all. I remember going along to a few of my dad's. He played sort of, amateur level, so I would have been on the sidelines. I can remember maybe kicking a ball around on the sideline. That was it. And then, but once I moved to England, it was just full on football, as you can imagine. So that's where it really began for me. And then, just every kid on the street playing football. As soon as there was, or as long as there was light in the day, you were just out. And that's where it kind of really kicked off. And just kickabouts. And then I was too young to play on any team. I think the youngest was under 11s you were allowed to play. But I managed to get in at under 9. I was 9. So I just couldn't wait any longer to get in. But no, I think that, in kickabouts and that, you knew you were able to, do things and be successful, but you weren't really. I wasn't seeing it in a way of, what it would lead to, in that respect.
Absolutely. So, kind of being back in Canada, was there any other sports that kind of interested you as a young child?
No, I wasn't. No, it would have been. It's a bizarre period of my life. It's probably can't really think like too much about it in terms of sports. I mean, I was always in school. I would have been, at that age, you'd probably just do activities, and I was obviously capable in any sort of sport, just because I was a sporty person. But I think once I came to the UK, it was just a different ball game, and I took it up pretty fast, and then played a season under, like you say, under 11s, and then I was picked up by Middlesbrough School of Excellence. So that was kind of the first sort of thing I would been acknowledged, that I was of a certain standard. So I was quite young, but I was still put forward and managed to get into that, which is basically probably their old school version of an academy, I guess.
Yeah,
bringing players in at that age.
Absolutely.
So that was good. That was really good. I enjoyed that.
Were you always a defender, Richard?
No, that's the sort of crazy thing is that I was always a sort of an attacking player, more like an attacking midfielder, really. Mm-hmm. I guess it just probably like a few players. It's just where the opportunity is, or where you're. I'm sure we'll get to that, but where you're basically told to play.
Yeah.
And then So no, I was always an attacking player, even up until 15, 16, and it's just it was the men's game that changed that.
It does. Football idol growing up, did you have anyone that you kind of looked up to in the professional game when you were a child?
Yeah, probably the first one would be Brian Robson.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Kind of where that started. I just started supporting Man United. That ended up being my team, and watching him, and then I would say from there on, it then became would have been 86 would have been my first World Cup I'd seen. So Maradona became an obvious one that you would really idolise, and then and even sort of Lothar Matthäus.
Yes.
So that would be the three for me. Just all like, attacking and I just love the way they play, and obviously. Two out of the three of them were left footers. I'm pretty sure Brian Robson's a right footer, but certainly Matthäus and that with just the way they played, play with purpose and always looking to make things happen. And that's obviously Maradona speaks for himself. So, but no, they definitely had idols where you'd look and do that.
Yeah. No, that's great answer. It's not names that come up often in the podcast. I do like to hear a bit about like Matthäus, brilliant player. I don't think when you look back kind of through the period of history of football, I think he's vastly underrated considering what he achieved and actually in the game. It's probably for a good 5-6 year period in the 80s and 90s he was a top midfielder in Europe. This is around a time where you've got like some Michel Platini and people like that kicking about. It's definitely a great shout there. So you kind of had an early upbringing into the Highland League at a young age. I've spoke to numerous guests on this podcast. A lot of them blooded into the Highland League at 15, 16 years old. Everyone's got different experiences of it. Richard, can you give me your experience as a young man in the Highland League? Because this is back in the brutal days of the Highland League. I'm not saying it's not brutal now, but it's certainly a lot more brutal back then.
Yeah, I mean, I did start at Nairn. Was the team that I ended up playing for and making a debut with, and I'm not quite sure even how I ended up there. If I'm honest, I think throughout my teenage years, we played sort of youth league and that, and then Inverness Thistle at the time, where they were like, "Oh, come along and training." And then I remember going on Aberdeen trials. I went on Chelsea trials. Don't even know how they were set up. I just went. I just remember going. And then I must have been in with the Nairn County kind of whatever it would have been. I have no idea, if under 15s, under 16s, but I'm just going through and training and stuff. And then, kind of out of nowhere, I guess they just said we needed a left back, and I was a left footer, so I was basically just said, right, okay, and they just threw me in at left back. So there was no. I don't even remember training with him. I just got thrown in, and then obviously after that, you just kind of, you just learn. I wasn't at that stage. I wouldn't have been that physically kind of ready.
Yes,
I thought, but I was I always had fight and endeavour. So in terms of the physical side of it, I wasn't like, fully grown and all that other stuff that you would look at. But I was a competitor, and I think the one thing that did help was that Nairn weren't like certainly weren't a top team, probably near the bottom, to be honest. Yeah. I think the best result we got when I was there was a draw. Okay. So but I think what benefited me was that had I never really been a defender, each and every game we're probably getting like 5 games worth of defending. So it was just like a test. So I managed to get like so much defending and learned so quick, because anytime you made a mistake, you were just getting, 10 grown men plus the manager just screaming at you. So you kind of did learn quick, you had to learn quick. And that's kind of what I remember. I remember Les Murray being one of the older players in the team, and he would scream at you, which quite rightly so, but then equally years later, when I was speaking to him, he was telling me about how in one of the games he looked like protected me, because he's seen there was one player in particular for a team that kept kind of leaving the elbow in on me and stuff,
Yeah.
And Les wasn't having that. He's like, "Oh no, I'm not having somebody doing that to a young player in our team." And he was telling me that in the half time, when they went up the dugout, went up the tunnel, he just tapped the boy on the shoulder and then smash him in the face. So I was like, well, I had no idea that even happened, but he was telling me this years later. So, no, it was a rude awakening, it definitely, and it was just, everything you could imagine. And then that's just the on-pitch stuff, and obviously the off-pitch with, the bus rides and stuff. It was
I can imagine,
yeah. So, but no, it served a purpose, I guess, and it got me noticed because I think what ended up happening was we played Cali in the very last game of the season.
Yep.
Away at Telford Street, and I was marking Danny McDonald, and Danny couldn't get past me, and he was one of the sort of top wingers in the Highland League for quite a while, but he was getting frustrated and he couldn't even get past me. I was 16 at the time, so I'd marked him out of the game, and then basically what the plan after that was that's when Cali and Thistle were amalgamating.
Yep.
And Sergey would be the manager, and Danny McDonald was becoming assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So straight after that game, Danny went to Sergey and said, "You need to sign that boy." He goes, "I didn't get any change out of him, and he's only 16. So, I think we need to make a move." So that's kind of how that happened. So just shows you, you just don't know who's watching or what circumstances are, but you just always go and play your game and then see what happens. But that's how that came about, and then I had the decision to make. Well, I didn't think it wasn't a decision for me, but the from the Nairn point of view, they were like, no, I don't think you should go, and you should just stay here and build your game a bit more, get more experience in the men's game, and then you can go to Cali, And I said, no, I'm going.
Yeah.
No-brainer. The opportunity's there. And they're like, yeah, but you won't get a game because, they've got Mark McAllister, who's the best left back in the league, blah, 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 and this and that. And I was like, okay, fair enough, but I'm still going. And then just how it happened, I think not many games in the season, Mark McAllister got injured. And then I came straight in the team and did well. And Mark never got back in the team, certainly as a left back. He got back in the team as a left centre back. We never got his left back spot back,
Yeah.
So it was, that's kind of how that all sort of pieced together. And it's, they always say that's, and you do need these, if you call them breaks or whatever, but you've got to earn. No one's going to give you, sign you just for like feeling nice about your charity. So, it was nice to be noticed in that way.
Absolutely. So kind of we touched on it there. Moved to Inverness, Cali. Sergey brought you in. Little while under him, and then a certain gentleman who's just been on this podcast a few episodes ago, Pelly Patterson, comes in. Yeah. What was the difference between the two managers? Because obviously they were both successful. Just like we know a bit about Pelly. Tell us a little bit about Sergey.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time under Sergey, and I think it was a different sort of dynamic because Sergey was like a player manager, so he kind of helped me a lot because he was playing basically alongside me, and speaking me through games, and yes. So I learned a lot from him being on the pitch, and he was he always had like really good strategies and what to do and a plan, and you could tell he had played at a very high level,
Yes.
Definitely helped you in certain, get through games. But no, I and I still speak to Sergey, to this day. We'll drop a message, every so often. But he's definitely a guy that's, they always say he was ahead of his time. That's what everyone says, and I think he maybe played a different system than what people played at the time. But no, just a true gentleman, and was I really enjoyed playing under him. So and as anything, when somebody goes and a new manager comes in, you're not sure what's going to happen, especially as a young player, you know. So that was a little bit of a tricky time for me. But what did happen was when Pele came in, not in a bad way, but I think he just wanted all the young players basically either gone or put out on loan, you know, because he probably would have worked alongside or known about a lot of the players that were there, you know, from the Highland League itself. So I'm not sure he was there to do a job. So I'm not sure he was really caring about bleeding in youngsters and all that, you know. So, you know, you would just start seeing boys getting either told, sorry, you're not at the club anymore, or they've been put out on loan somewhere. So I'm thinking, gee, what's going to happen to me? Because it's a cull, you know, it's all the young boys. But I was the only one that was left, you know. So he did see something in me, or you know, heard or see whatever it was. But I kept within that squad, so I was delighted for that. And then I think it was one of them where once you knew that he, you know, kept you on and had an element of faith, I guess, or wanted you to do well, that you wanted to repay him and show them what you're capable of. So I think that's how that relationship started. And I mean, I think the promotions and the cup run, I mean, they speak for themselves. I think it's just what the type of manager he was, you know. And I think throughout the years, you know, a lot of people come out and he's got faults and this and that, but I think you know, he wasn't never like a tactician or anything like that. He just had a system that he wanted to play. He had a group of boys that he just showed a tremendous amount of faith and belief in, and he said, look, just go and play. You know, I trust you to just go and play. And maybe it was that sort of freedom and you know, don't get me wrong, we had a really good group of boys that Pele had assembled or inherited, but equally then added a few here and there. So it was a really good squad. But no, I think he just because I don't remember doing any like tactic sessions. I just don't. I just remember training was it was good. It was high tempo and a lot of sort of possession or game, you know, small sided games and shooting practice. Like there was a lot of stuff, but I think, like you say, just when it came to the games, he was just like, right, this is this is a system we're playing, and if we're good enough at it, then we don't need to think about other teams. They have to worry about us. You know. And so no, it was really enjoyable playing under him, I have to say, and it helps as well when you're getting the success and promotions and you know, having some cup games and stuff. It was just incredible for a team that was, you know, new in the league to be able to do that.
Absolutely. So last episode I was actually speaking to Barry Wilson, and we spoke about Super Cali, Go Ballistic, Celicar Atrocious. Richard, you were part of the back line that night. Can you give me your memories of that game and just kind of the lead up to it, and obviously what happened and kind of the aftermath as well?
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously it was a crazy game, and in terms of, you know, being, I think the fact that was our first time playing there, you know, any of the players, and obviously Pele as well, and unbelievable atmosphere, as you can imagine. But you as well get a lift. I don't think you could see it as being intimidating, or you could see it as giving you a lift, you know. And I think we were all buzzing, and you know, we just, again, just with Pele's setup and mindset, we just kind of went and played it as any other game. And obviously we didn't expect to go ahead, but we did. And then you're sort of on cloud nine. You're thinking, I can't believe this is even happening, you know. And then, you know, they obviously peg us back to get 1-1, and you've seen it before when a team so dominant pegs you back. It's usually then one-way traffic.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people talk about that game. I think that to me is maybe people don't even understand or underestimate that, how much of a feat that is when you do get pegged back. To then go again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get another 2 goals and stay resilient, and they're throwing everything at you. That's a real solid team performance. But even watching that game back, we played some unbelievable football.
You did.
Poised, comfortable on the ball, had them chasing around, and it kind of thing. I genuinely believe, and I've been part of things, and I've seen things as well, that see if a game's not played at 3:00 on a Saturday, I think that's when you see the biggest upsets. Not every time, but there's something about because everyone's used to playing Saturday at 3:00, and that's, as professional footballers, your body and your mind is all set for that. So I think when we went down the day that we did, and it got called off with the high winds and stuff, chances are if we played that game that day, we probably would have got hammered.
Yep.
They would have been right up for it. But just with it being changed to a midweek night game, just something was just there, and they were off it and we were on it. Even at half time, Pelly's coming in and going, "There's more goals here, lads, just keep going." And it's like to say that against Celtic, and it's, because most managers say, right, we need to go defensive now, we need to do this and do that. But he was just like, nice, there's more goals for us. Yeah. There's more. So
gives you a little bit of confidence when he says something like that as well.
You're just like, all right, okay, you know more than us, obviously. So, but no, just unbelievable feeling, and once the third goes in, you're feeling pretty good, and and you start pinching yourself in the game, and you're already on. And then Ian Wright comes on. I'm directly marking Ian Wright. I'm thinking, gee, this is like unbelievable, Obviously, playing against players of that stature, magnitude at such a young age, but you had a job to do, and once you're in it, you just get on with it. And luckily, we've seen the game out, and then the celebrations kind of change room and stuff like that. But then, people always ask me, what about the celebrations? And I've got the worst celebrations because I had to fly out to go with Canada.
Yep.
The next morning.
Yeah, I've got a question about that just shortly, because that that was some month for you, mate. That's some 4 or 5 weeks spell that for you.
Easily the best month of my career.
So kind of you touched on it a little bit there. I want to kind of dial it back with international stuff just a little bit, Richard. First international, I know you'd played youths and you'd played youth championships and things like that, but your first international cap, what's your memories of kind of receiving your first senior call up and things like that? So it's obviously a proud moment.
Yeah. So no, it was we had played in the under-20 World Cup with Canada. We qualified for that, so that was an unbelievable experience. And then you kind of, because it's different setup over there, but then they have like the Olympic team, which is the under-23s, so you kind of have that in between. So we were part of that Olympic qualifying, but we didn't get there. But no, then it's kind of a bit like the Lee Carsley thing just now, So where we had our under-20 manager, he the men's team had I think they'd fired the manager or his contract was out, whatever. So they put that manager in for an interim.
Yes, okay.
So he was thinking, well, if I'm only in for 1-2 games, I'm going to give boys that I think deserve a crack, a chance. So he called, I think it was three of us, maybe three or four of us up into that game. It was in Toronto against Macedonia, And so no, I mean, I was absolutely buzzing, and you know, because we've never been in with the men's team, you know.
Yeah.
So it was quite the feat, and then, but it all just it couldn't have worked out a better sort of day, just because like you say, making my debut, but it was also so it would have been my 21st birthday.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was the 18th of May, so it was right on my birthday, and we won the game 1-0, and I took the corner that the boy headed it in, so I got an assist, the debut, and
nice.
then we flew back to Vancouver after that. So there was maybe half the team was on that flight. So I just remember being on that flight, and the boys are getting some beers, and it was just a tremendous birthday, and just everything that had happened, and so no, it was so obviously a lot to thank my under-20 coach for, and he's the one that basically scouted me. Mm-hmm. He found me, and so got him to basically thank for everything, because he's the one that, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be playing for Canada, certainly. Yeah. So
that's brilliant, mate. So we kind of touched on it a little bit before. Straight off the back of Super Cali, you played for Canada in the Gold Cup. Spoiler alert, you've actually won the Gold Cup that year. I was looking up the history of the tournament. It's actually a very impressive run you've had. I'll let you speak about your one and only international goal, which ended up being a very important international goal at the end of the day. But I want to touch first on Rookie of the Tournament. These days, I think it's the young player of the tournament. I don't think it's a rookie anymore, but that's essentially the best young player at the tournament. Gold Cup, it's teams like Mexico, you've got Colombia in there, it's not just North American teams, you've got big South American teams as well. Rookie of the Tournament, that's quite impressive, Richard. So did you feel yourself going into that tournament that you're obviously you weren't destined, you weren't one of the favourites to win it and things like that? Did you feel yourselves confident going into that tournament, feeling that you could actually pull out a few results regardless of the opposition?
If I'm being honest, no. I think we were, we weren't ranked very high at that stage. So it was like we'd been in. I think we'd had a camp with the new manager taking over, Holger Osiek, who was the assistant manager when Germany won the 1990 World Cup.
Yeah.
So he was the assistant to Franz Beckenbauer. So he got the job. We had one training camp in Duisburg in Germany where he called in like 30 players, and then just wanted to see everyone. And then we had a mini tournament in Edmonton. So I was part of that, but never played. I was just kind of in and about the team. So to be honest, when I flew out there, I remember joking with one of my friends. He's like, oh yeah, big tournament. I'm like to my friend, I said, look, I'll probably sit on the bench and I'll be home in a week. And that's because I wasn't recognized kind of starter or anything for the team. I was part of the squad, and that was it. So we played Costa Rica in the first game, and then we were playing. I think we were playing a back three, playing 3-5-2, and Paul Fenwick, who used to play for Hibs, he played for Hibs at the time, and he ended up getting injured. Don't know what it was, half an hour in the game or something like that. I can't remember. But then I got put on at left centre back, which was fine because I played across the back four like that. But I was right up against Paulo Wanchop that was at West Ham, and he felt like he was 6 foot taller than me. But fortunately, just the way they play, that sort of Central American team, everything's on the ground,
Yeah.
So they want to play on the ground. So the height didn't really matter. I think there was maybe a few back post headers where he's obviously going to climb it above you. But luckily our keeper, kept us in it. So I finished that game, and then the manager called me in to see me, because we had to play South Korea next. So you might be thinking, why South Korea? So just to let you know, so Gold Cup, they'll have the teams in, and they always invite 2 guest countries. That's why. So Colombia was the guest, and South Korea was the guest countries.
Okay. Yep.
That year. So he called me in and he just said, he's like, oh, I really like the way you play, Richard. That's just very good, and you're going to start next game. I'm like, oh, brilliant. That's superb. Yeah. And I go, so just like I played today. And he went, no. He goes, you are going to play in the midfield, in the center. I'm like, I says, what, center? He went, yes. He goes, you break up the play, you just play the passes, you'll be good, you'll be okay. I went, you do realize I've never played center mid, like, and he went, that's okay, you'll be fine. So I was one of the 3 in the mid in the 3, so the 3-5-2. So I was one of the 3. So not only was I thrown in, but I was thrown into a position that, playing with my back to goal, all this stuff, it was really foreign to me. But he had faith in me. The fact he had faith in me, I just was like, right, okay, well, I'm just going to go in and do a job. So when you talk about getting, young player of the tournament, that was even an extra feat because I was playing a position I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah.
Either. So it was, but as you can, but I've taken a lot of those things into my coaching and management thing as well. I'll put players in positions like that. But I'll give them my backing or belief that they can do it, because it's happened to me. So
absolutely
I do that. So that's kind of, we weren't like say, but then we got. I'm sure if you've done your research, you realise that group finished tied on every single thing you could tie on.
Yeah.
So it crazily went to a coin toss, and then we won it. So that got us through the group. But then that was we played Mexico in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. So we're going to touch on that game. Your only international goal came in that game. For people, maybe younger viewers are listening, there used to be a thing called Golden Goal, and it was pretty much like it's the professional version of next goal wins when you are at your training and things like that. So if a game was tied and it would go into extra time, they would play 30 minutes, and the first team to score one, David Trezeguet scored quite a famous one in Euro 2000. And there's little things like that. You scored a golden goal against Mexico. Talk us through. For it being your only international goal, Richard, that's quite a goal to claim as the one. But also, like, you're playing in a different position. You just explained there. Was there times in that tournament where you did have an opportunity, because you're playing in that midfield, to maybe get forward and have a go at goal, like something you're not normally doing when you're playing it for your club and things?
I don't think we had. I think based on the way we were playing, we did a lot of defending, so it wasn't like we were breaking forward a lot, And if you, I don't know if you've seen the goal, but
I have, yeah.
The counter attack is, but no, I probably was playing, more of one of the sort of defensive. We probably played more, maybe not two sitters, but 2 here and 1 in front. So no, I didn't find myself forward. If anything, it was just breaking up play and passing it on or maybe driving and playing that. So no, I didn't find myself in those situations too often. But yeah, people go, oh, how many goals you score? Oh, 1. But to me, it doesn't matter, because I was never going to score a lot being a defender anyway.
Yeah.
But I always say that, but it's probably the most important goal in Canada's history and all that. So it's just kind of,
it's true. It's so true.
It's remembered. So, but no, I remember obviously we got to extra time and we're all just, you remember the heat and everything that's there, and not used to those conditions, and we played all those games, so you're pretty dead on your feet. And I remember just laying down and talking about that, my under-20 manager, he was on the coaching staff as well. So he was there and, doing the old shaking the legs thing, And I remember looking up at him and I was just like, I've got nothing left. Like, I honestly I felt I've got nothing, And he went, don't worry. He says, you'll find something, And so, yeah, not maybe a couple of minutes into the extra time. And it was actually weird because our right back he went to clear it, but he slipped.
Okay.
And then the ball goes out for a corner. And when you see those moments, you think, oh no, that hopefully that's not going to work against us, because that should never have been a corner. And you see things like that and they happen in the game and it ends up being, detrimental. So, but the corner comes in and then it gets headed out. And I just started going, and then the next guy carried on, and I just found myself at just full sprint, not knowing if I would get the ball, but it was just there. And then the teammate just sends over like a diagonal, and it was just I just get the touch of my life, just half sort of bounced, and then off my right thigh, which obviously I'm left foot, which is thingy, but and it just went beautifully into my path, and then I managed to put it in, and and then they always say, "Oh, how does that feel?" But it's like it's more than just scoring a goal.
Yeah,
scoring a goal, you get that euphoria and you're jubilant, but this one gives even more emotions of relief because there is no comeback.
Yeah, that's it. It's over,
and and so and I'll never get that feeling again.
Yeah,
and only a few select people that have scored golden goals will ever feel what that feels like.
Yeah.
Or teams that have celebrated with that feeling. But yeah, it was a bizarre feeling just because you were so happy, but you were amazed. You were, like, say, relieved. You're just knowing that you knocked out. I think they were number 10 in the world at the time, Mexico.
Yeah.
So yeah, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And just knowing that they couldn't come back at you and the game was done.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Bizarre thing, but no, I'm glad it happened, obviously. It was good.
He's pushed on as well. So my first question tonight about players played against. So you went on to play Colombia in the final. 2-0 you beat them in the final. Is my research right?
In the final, yeah.
Yep, 2-0.
Yeah.
He came up against Faustino Asprilla that night. One of the players I watch a lot of Premier League years, and he's the man that always comes up against, a little magician and things like that. You got any memories playing against him? Because he was at this time probably at the kind of just kind of past his peak, but still a very, very good player.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, he, like you say, I obviously wasn't directly up against him, but you knew he was on the pitch, and you were just sort of thinking, please don't, and cause any problems. But I'm pretty sure he missed a penalty, or our keeper saved it in the game, which gave us a, our keeper got goalkeeper of the tournament. He was unbelievable, Craig Forrest. But no, I mean, you knew they had threats all over the pitch, and I remember going to close the boy down, and he just kind of, when you sort of let it through your leg, but then you thought it's like a Cruyff
half turn. Yeah, I know.
So so I was closing it, like, it was about the halfway line, but I remember it was early in the game, and I went. He offered short, and I came behind him like that, but he just did that flick. He knew where his striker was, and he was gone. Ball went one side, he went the other side, and I'm like, whoa, this is the next level. Like, these boys are just. So then after that, I was like, whoa, I need to be really careful with these, because these guys were just attacking with intent, But luckily we got our goals and managed to get, which was a big thing. It was a massive thing, because it not only did we win that tournament, but that then we were champions of CONCACAF, so that then got us into the what's it called? The
Confederations Cup.
Confederations Cup
Yeah.
in Japan, and it actually qualified us into the Copa America as well.
Yep.
But the reason we ended up having to pull out of that because I think there was a few Colombian delegates or something had been kidnapped.
Okay.
At the time, or about a month before it. So then the Canadian Soccer Association said, right, we can't put our players down there with the risk of that type of stuff. So they just pulled out. So.
Okay.
Because we would have liked to have gone to it, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, a little bit of samba flair in the Canadian side.
But no, it was in terms of, when you see Denmark winning the Euros and things like that, like that's we're up there with that, probably somewhere like that,
Absolutely.
In terms of our chances of winning that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But we did, we grew in strength as a team and belief, and we just rode the wave until it crashed, and that was it.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes it's football's about these little lucky moments here, or just maybe a decision that goes for you here and there, and you'll know yourself better than anyone, Richard. Football, luck plays a bigger part than most care to agree with. It's huge in football, absolutely. So we know you've been around the globe, kind of all over the place with Canada and things like that, but you actually spent a little bit of your club career playing abroad, Holland and Austria. How was because obviously we know you've been around with the international team, but at the end of the day, Canadians speak English and things like that. So how is it moving to another country and playing football from coming from Highland League and things like that, and playing for Inverness Cali Thistle?
Yeah, no, it was. It was obviously moving to Austria was. I took German in school, not to any sort of great degree, but equally I found German easier than French, so I wasn't worried in that respect. But I just wanted a new challenge. I'd been at Cali for 7 years, and it was nothing. It was never nothing. It was never anything against Cali. It was just that I wanted to, go as far as I could or try different things in my career.
Yeah.
And I think also playing with the national team, that you've got players that are playing alongside you, and they're at bigger leagues, better clubs than you are, and probably the same standard of player.
Yes.
So I think I knew I was capable of more, and I just thought if I signed the sort of latest contract that Cali had offered me, then I would just probably be there for life, and I felt it was getting stale, and I needed a new challenge, and it was quite difficult because since I broke into the team, I was always linked, with big clubs like Arsenal, Man United, and it never came off, and that was sort of frustrating. Becomes frustration, but you just have to get on with your game, and so. But no, I think at that point I just thought, no, I want to go, and didn't have a club set to go to. I think Canada, we played at the end of one of the season. We played Switzerland in Switzerland, and off the back of that, there was talk of an Austrian club interested in me from that game, through an agent. But then I think it was the same agent, but I ended up going on trial at a different club in Austria, so it wasn't the club that scouted me.
Right.
So,
okay. I see.
Yeah. So I went there anyway, and it was just as soon as you got there, you it was so much more professional, and everything was, and they were obviously Austrian Bundesliga, so you're talking like Austria Vienna, Sturm Graz, all these teams. So and it was a team that had a lot of internationals in them as well, Slovakians, Slovenians, Croatians.
Yes.
So high level of players. And I think we played Dynamo Zagreb in a pre-season friendly or something. And so I think I got a thigh strain, and I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to play. And the manager's like, he just goes, well, if you don't play, then I can't, make a decision on you. So I just basically covered my whole thigh in Ralgex and just was like, got on with it, But no, they signed me off the back of that. So that was, I was absolutely delighted to sign. And then, so they, because of their league position, the season before, they finished in like Champions League qualifying.
Okay, wow.
Spot.
Yeah.
So we were involved in that. I think, but before that, before we kicked that campaign off, the club was celebrating like 100 years anniversary. So they thought it would be a good idea to try and find another team that was also celebrating 100 years and then have an exhibition game. So they went and found Real Madrid. So and invited them over. So Real Madrid came to Graz and we played against them. And just the way it worked out, I think both teams fielded 2 different 11s either half. And so I was lucky I got to start the game. And fortunately for me, that Figo started, Zidane started, amongst others. So I think the only players that were missing from Real Madrid at the time were the Brazilian contingent, because they had just won the World Cup, so they were given extra holidays.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Wow.
But no, so that was unbelievable, just being on the pitch and with I was directly marking Figo, and then Zidane was in the middle of that. I mean, jeez, and like I've never seen a player so graceful, the ball, it's just like it was Velcro to his foot. It's just unbelievable to see the game being played that well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's when you're in the Scottish leagues or anything, you just think, well, that's what you see is what you get. You go, they're decent players, but these guys are just, the levels are just unbelievable.
Yep.
When you're seeing it firsthand, the runs people make, the touch they take, it's just incredible. So, but no, I was like you say, massively fortunate to play that game from the start. So I was able to be on the pitch, and then both teams changed at half time and came out with 2 different 11s. But we beat them as well, beat them 3-2, so we're delighted.
Okay. Result that.
It was good. My wife, but girlfriend at the time, she was over, and then my friend flew over as well to watch the game, and we got back to the hotel, and I knew straight away he'd be like, so did you get a strip? Did you get a strip? And I knew he would ask, but the way it happened was because coming off, I didn't know that they were going to be changing or not, so you didn't ask for any tops at half time,
Yeah, aye.
So it was kind of at the end you were there, so I'm like looking. Boys, to be fair, everyone was changing, but I hadn't changed yet. I'm like, oh, this is a nightmare. And then I was in the tunnel and I literally walked right up to Steve McManaman at the time.
Brilliant.
And I was just going to say like that, and then one of my teammates tapped him on the shoulder, and he turned, so they swapped, and I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to stop now. That's it. I'm done. So that was it. I went in the change room, and then when I came out, it's quite a big sort of wide hallway, and Figo was just sitting on the floor on his phone, and so I thought, you know what, if I can't get a top, maybe. So I pulled out my top and I said, would you just sign it? And he was like, yeah, no problem. So he signed it, and then Zidane was sitting 20 yards up he was just sitting on the ground as well, just on his phone, so he signed it as well. And so I just put my strip back in the bag, and then when I got back to the hotel, like I said, my friend, he's like, "Why'd you get a top, Richie? You get a top?" And I guess, "No, I didn't." He's like, "What?" I went, "No." I says, "But I did get this," like that, and I held it up, and he's like, "Richie, what's that?" I'm like, And I look, and all the inks ran because all the sweat from playing in the top. You've got to be kidding. So I've still got the top now. You can see the inks just dry. But I'm like, well, that was Figo and that was Zidane's. At least I got a story out of it,
Absolutely. Oh, brilliant, Richard. That's a brilliant wee story. Like, 59 caps for Canada. What's your proudest cap?
I mean, probably would have to say, in terms of just feeling everything, it would have been the game that we won the goal, the game that we scored, because I think just that's on a personal level, not that I'm that type of person. I don't like bringing spotlight on me, but just that's the way it panned out. I think that was a big moment. So yeah, out with them all, it would just tip it. I mean, obviously winning it is up there too, and then making my debuts, it was a big moment. So kind of there's three, but one maybe just tops them.
Yeah, brilliant. We kind of just touched on it a minute ago there. Did you get much shirts throughout your career from players?
Yeah. I wasn't one that I always liked to concentrate in the game, so I was never one to ask early. So I never really got major names. Whereas my teammate next to me, he was the boy Kevin McKenna that played at Hearts. I'm like, Kev, what are you doing? 10 minutes into the game, he's asking for a guy's top. Like he just wanted to bank all his tops. But no, I got a fair few, and I was actually had them maybe 6 months ago or something. I had them out. I took them all down, and I just had them out and I was going through them with my kids, and I was just counting them as well. So I think I've got about 50. Yeah, about 50 different ones. But we were just going through them, like, oh, there's that one and that, and then my youngest boy, he plays. He's at under 18s. He's 16s, under 18s counting, and he was because they were all like, face up. You could see the tops, and then I picked up. So I gave him the US one. I'm like, yeah, and he's seen the number 10 on the front, And then he's like, oh, that's. And he turns around and he's like, you never told me you had a Donovan top. I'm like, yeah. He's like, what? Why have you never told me that? And I was like, so he was, because he plays number 10 as well. So he's like, he was buzzing. I was like, all right. So, and then I just pulled out. So Brazil, got a few Brazil tops.
Yeah. What do you reckon? What would you reckon would be the biggest name you've got on a top, Richard?
It might be that US one, to be fair. Trying to think, because like you say, I didn't get household names on the other ones. I mean, like you say, they were up, and when we played Argentina, they didn't swap any tops.
Okay.
They were like, they were not adamant, but they were just, because they were straight in. It was like, it was their last friendly before going to the World Cup in 2010.
Right.
So it was the last friendly, but equally on that day, it was big celebrations for like 200 years of independence. So they were kind of just like straight off and doing their own thing with the fans. And so there was no point. Like, you just couldn't get anything,
Yeah.
No. So yeah, but
Donovan is quite a big name. Like, he's massive in America. He was their poster boy for 20 odd years, and 150, 160 games. I think.
The Swiss. Is it the Swiss manager or the Swiss manager that manages another country? The guy with they're two brothers. I've got his top when we played Switzerland. Brother, I forget his name. Yakin. Is it Yakin?
Yakin, and played for Basel. Yeah, back in the day, I do remember that.
Brothers, yeah. They both, one was a centre back, and one was a striker. So I got his top. But no, it's
good to look back.
Yeah, a lot.
It's good.
It's just stuff like that. But my kids were like.
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? It's things to show the kids. It's you've got the little memory of it, but it's nice to show the kids, and then maybe one day the grandkids and things like that. It's little trinkets like that.
I did have a Celtic fan. I had a Celtic fan on. I had a Nakamura top, and that went. That got auctioned off at my testimonial dinner. So that was that. But no, I've still got a Jan Vennegoor of Hesselink top, and a Celtic, a guy that that collects all Celtic stuff. I think he contacted me on Instagram or something, was asking me if I would sell it and stuff. And I'm like, because I kind of want to keep it just because I don't think there'll ever be a top that's got more letters on it.
No, I don't think so.
It just goes right from the back, but there's like arms right across. But yeah, so it's funny how these things work out.
So I'm getting to my next two questions. They're my favourite questions of the podcast, Richard. And I'll just bear in mind, you don't have to give me one name for this. People have normally got a few names. Can you give me the best player you've played with in your career, please?
But probably in terms of there's been a few, but I would say one guy that's went on and had unbelievable career is Atiba Hutchinson. He was at Besiktas.
Besiktas, yes. Oh yeah, I know who you're on about. Yep.
Atiba, yeah. So he came in as a youngster. I played with him for a number of years. Unbelievable centre mid and but other guys came. We had like Paul Pesciaslido. He was an unbelievable finisher.
Yep.
Thomas Radzinski that was at Everton and
yeah.
So, but I would say more, in terms of playing in Scotland, I think guys like James McCarthy that went on to play down at Crystal Palace. There's guys that just stand out. You're like, it's. I always remember when Paul Sheeran came on trial because he got released, I think, from Southampton Academy or something, or their reserves or something, and he came up and boys were like, "We need to sign him." Like he just lit up the training, but he was playing passes ahead. He was just. So he was a joy to play with, but also train alongside because he just raised the level and you never forget those sort of moments, and it was quite special when guys like that come along. But no, I'd like to say each kind of area, there's guys in Austria as well that were some unbelievable players that played for their respective national teams as well. But no, there's talented boys for sure.
Absolutely.
Across the board,
Flip side of the question, who do you reckon is the best player you've played against?
Probably directly up against. Obviously, I'd said Figo. I did play against Aguero. He was a tough player to be up against. Just everything about his touch is the runs he makes, but equally how strong he is. It was up because of that low centre of gravity. But I would say domestically, Aidan McGeady was always an absolute nightmare to play against.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And because you played against him several times, he was, you knew you're up for a tough day.
Absolutely.
Against him. So in terms of a player that you had to play against more than once, he would probably be the top of that, I would have said. And then, like say, the other ones are just, one-offs that you're playing up against these guys, but they're still obviously massively talented,
Yeah. Would you, because you were coming up against Aidan maybe 4 or 5, potentially 6 times a season, would you go into, if he'd maybe had a good game against you the first game, would you go and try something a little bit different against him in the next game, or would you just go in with your normal game plan and play to your own game and your own strengths as usual?
Yeah, he's probably like just one of those where it's probably just that you end up being the lesser of two evils, because it doesn't matter if you sat off him, he would come at you. If you got too tight, they would spin on behind. So he was always playing that. You almost had to kind of rely on your other teammates as well. So
yes.
Listen, if he comes near, you need to get across and support me, because I remember he would go everywhere and anywhere on that pitch, and you'd find yourself at right back, you know, what am I doing here? You know, so, but no, he a guy that really went at, you know, could dribble at pace, you know, as well. And but another one that I just found unbelievable, just because, you know, the typical thing is to think that if someone's big, they won't have good feet. Really, was Brian Laudrup. I could not believe the size of him, but how his feet were just like unbelievable.
Yeah,
so graceful, but quick. I think I was only maybe 17, 18 when I played against him, but just to see it, you know, and but it just shows you that the levels that you can go in football, you know, and it just how good somebody can be at football.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely.
And I that's one thing because if you only ever play, you know, Scottish Premier League, nothing, not that's you know, nothing bad about that, but that will be the best you will ever see.
Yeah.
In real life, but to see guys of that stature at their peak, you're like, it just blows your mind that the game can be played like that.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's not always just on the ball; it's even off the ball. I remember when we played Brazil, I think I was marking this guy Fabiano. I think he played for maybe Valencia or something. He started the game, and I was marking him, and that was the difference for me, is that I think, say if you're marking a striker, you know, the ball will go out wide, and you know you've got eyes on him, and you'll see what the fullback's doing as he's, you know, and then you maybe have a chance to know when that cross is coming. But what happened was, in that game, you're marking him, and then they fired a ball out to Robinho on the left wing. The second that ball went, he went. And then that Robinho just went and took a touch past our fullback, fired the cross in, and I couldn't get goal side anymore. That boy was gone. Mm-hmm. So the best I could do was kind of give him a shove, but not too much of a shove to be a penalty and a red card. So all I did that, but he headed it in the goal. 9 minutes in the game, 1-0. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Just different level. Yeah. But luckily we came back in that game as well. We ended up, we only lost that game 3-2, and that was from a poor back pass from our centre mid. We had them on the ropes.
Yeah.
We were 2-2. It was 2-2, and but that's what I take from games like that. It's like, you know, you're playing against one of the best teams in the world, and they're so used to teams having so much respect for them that they just swan you about at the back, and nobody. But we got an equaliser in that game, and then I think we just thought, let's go for it, lads. Let's just do it. And we high pressed everything, and I'm telling you, these guys that were like renowned superstars were panicking, slicing clearances, getting on at each other. You'd never think that, you know, and you take that a lot from that. I said, listen, you know, everyone can be got at, you know.
Yep.
So it was, but yeah, we lost 3-2, but it was a good effort anyway. So
absolutely. So it's quite a career you've had, playing career, and been to pretty much all corners of the globe, all over the place with it. What would you reckon would be your proudest achievement in your playing career, Richard? It's there's a lot to take in there, my man. It's
Yeah, I think winning the Gold Cup, I think was the biggest, because it was the sort of, you know, accumulation of that whole sort of month, effectively, you know, and it just, you know, you literally felt on cloud nine, you know, you're so high in confidence and proud of yourself, but proud of your teammates, and because none of that, you know, you can win a one-off game by just, like you say, a bit of fortune or this or that, but you can't go and win a tournament just on that. And I think that being part of that, I think was a huge thing, and But even winning the Gold Cup was a bit like the winning the Celtic game, whereas I wasn't able to celebrate that either because I had to get onto like an overnight flight back because Cali had a replay with Aberdeen in the quarterfinal of the Scottish Cup, so I had to go straight back for that game.
Yeah,
but I was still on a high and hardly any sleep, couple of espressos and that. Just got on the pitch and we lost 1-0, but I got man of the match. I had a really good game, but that's just off adrenaline.
Yeah.
I was riding, like you say, I was just riding the wave. I was still on a high, and but it was an incredible month. So yeah, that would be the pinnacle of that. You know, winning the tournament and everything that came with that in terms of, you know, just putting Canada on the map to a degree. You know,
absolutely, that's what it done.
Thought that, and we jumped up the rankings. I think maybe we jumped like 30 spots, something like that. And so yeah, it was a special time, and like you say, just really proud of to be part of that.
Absolutely, mate. If you're enjoying listening to the podcast, give us a follow on Facebook, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. We have video exclusive episodes on Patreon. I'll link everything in the description below. 1 to 11 time, Richard. You've given me your Scottish-based 11 and some good names on there, some names we've already had on this podcast and things like that. So I'm interested to get in a couple. So I'll read it out and then we're just going to pick out a couple of names and we'll speak about the players. So you've got a 3-5-2. I love that people that give me information because it gives me an idea of how they like to play their football and things like that. Jim Calder in goals, Ross Tokley, Bobby Mann, Grant Monroe, James MacArthur, Sheeran in MacArthur, Barry Wilson, Don Cowie, Barry Robson, Craig Dargo and Dennis Winus up front. So the first one we're going to go to, we spoke about him in the last episode. We spoke about him 3 episodes ago as well, but I want an overall riding opinion. How good a passer of the ball was Bobby Mann?
Yeah, no, I mean he hit a ball with a purpose, you know, and it invariably got where it needed to get to. But I think that's one where, you know, he himself said, he goes, if I had pace, I'd be at Man United.
Okay,
that was. Yeah, he wasn't a guy that struggled for confidence, but no, I think and that's why when I looked at doing the team, I just thought I'll keep it, you know, Scottish based because one, people won't even know who the players are if I start going everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
But equally for a bit of, you know, history and nostalgia from where, you know, it all started for me as well and coming up through the leagues. So, you know, Bobby, you know, was a big part of the you know, coming up from the lesser, or not lesser, but the lower leagues. So, but he played a big part in that, and he was unbelievable. You know, like read the game so well. You know, won every header, and because he read the game well, his pace didn't really, you know, get him exposed because he would always be on that front foot. Being where he should be, and then like you say, his passing ability, and he used to just zing it in, just with his laces. Just it could be a low driven ball, could be, you know, into a chat. Like he just had a range, it's like a quarterback, you know. He just had everything, and it was a joy to have him in the team. I mean, he was a prominent figure for us for sure.
Absolutely. And the next name I'm going to mention is Ross Tokley. Is it a surreal moment when you see each other in the dugout these days, managing your respective clubs?
Yeah, no, we're both madmen trying to be managers. It's crazy, but yeah, I know it just shows you kind of how old we are now. But no, Tokes had obviously he's the record appearance holder for Cali, and he came in as a younger, even younger. He was a younger boy when I was after I had come in. So he tremendous career at Cali, and I think he just with his height and everything. I think everyone thought he was a centre back, but he's done. He did have an unbelievable career at right back.
Yeah,
and undoubtedly was massively part of the club's success over the years. So there's no way he can't be in the team, and I think maybe surprised that he never got a move somewhere else. But he certainly did an unbelievable job for Cali.
Absolutely. Another man that done an unbelievable job for Cali. Kind of spoke him a little bit before was Paul Sheeran. He was the one that scored the winner that night, if I'm right in remembering, against Celtic. You kind of spoke about a little bit about his quality when he first appeared, and you were kind of desperate to sign him and things. He's made it into your 11. Just how good a football player was this man?
Yeah, he was. He I think he got an extra 10, 15, 20% out of every other player as well. That was the benefit of bringing a guy like him in. He was infectious, the way he played, the way he trained. He just raised standards right across the board. And but like I say, he would be doing those first time passes around the corner, going and getting 1-2. So yeah. He just opened your eyes to how, like you say, how the game can be played and maybe should be played. But he was a great guy off the park as well. He was good in the change room, and but when he took his football seriously, and like I say, I just think he made everyone better around him. Led from the front, not from the front, but he led on the pitch. Always wanted the ball. That's one thing I always remember. Just wanted it all the time. And when you got guys like that, it's a godsend, because they want to play, and you're not chasing all the time, because he wants to get on it. He wants to keep it, but he's clever. He knows when to keep it, but he knows when he can go and kind of sort of probe and try and hurt the opposition as well. But no, great guy in the middle of the park, and then no doubt, no surprise he got his move to Aberdeen and that after. But certainly a great signing for us at the time.
Absolutely. So either side of you've got Barry. Well, either side, your wide players, your 3-5-2. You've got Barry Wilson and Barry Robson, the two Barrys. How good is it having one of these two guys in front of you? Because Barry obviously played left and right for Cali as well.
I kind of just pushed it. I kind of had to put the formation on that just to get boys in as well, to be honest. So no, I had Barry in front of me, Barry Robson in front of me at times, and then obviously Barry Wilson. So it was, Barry Wilson, obviously, he could win you games, Yeah. He was quick, and he was comfortable going on to his left if he had to. But I always remember if he played directly in front of me, I would. I think I probably made the most decoy runs of my life. I think.
I know exactly what you mean.
He would. I would be in good positions, but he'd prefer to cut in and shoot. So, but no, he did score his fair share, to be honest. And again, it was a big signing at the time when he came in, and then he went on and played a big part in the club, and to get him into the Premier League. That was I wasn't at the club for that promotion, but he obviously was a big part of that. And although I've got Barry out on the left, Barry Robson out on the left in that formation, but because he started there, but I do think that his best position ended up being centre mid, which is probably where he went on and forged a incredible career, in national team as well. He's just got that, and I think the freedom of being in the middle where he can go left or right. Whereas if he's on the left, he felt limited to go, and because blister and pace wasn't him, but he's probably like a flashback of Gaza, really. He was very very good with his feet, but he could get across people, get his elbow up, and just he was really good at just driving with the ball and taking people on and then making things happen from the middle of the park. And that's I think that's where we've seen the best of him. And then obviously after that he went on to what he went on to, which was a great career.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll finish off your 11 with Dennis Winus. Bit of a hero up in Inverness. A lot of goals for the club over the years. From the collective that I've heard about Dennis, because I ask about and things. Very nice guy as well. He made other people's job in the team quite easy because he done a lot of the dirty work in the team up in that front line a lot of the time, and would maybe just be in there to win little flick on balls for boys, and it wasn't always about the goals, I don't think.
No, he listen, I think just the way we were ingrained, or the expectation from the management was that everyone had to work no matter where you were on the pitch, but he definitely did that side of the game. But I just think, when I think about Dennis, I just think about how graceful he is on the ball. His first touch was incredible. Yeah. How he brought others into the game. So, that would be one of if I wasn't hitting a big diagonal to say Barry Wilson on the right wing, my second next option was to fire one into Dennis's feet, Mm-hmm. So that would happen more often than not because the big switch wasn't always on, but no, you could fire a ball into him and he would just kill it, and I think, and then he also had his famous move, the drag that he used to pull out every so often. That was, and I don't know if you've ever seen or heard about that, but
no, I've not.
he would do a drag, and he would do it, and it was just because he did it the odd time in training, and then he would just make a fool of a player, But sometimes in a game, the odd game, you knew it was coming too, because he just sets his body and then he just does this, but he just drags it, and the boy thinks he's going one route, but he just sort of scoops it back on himself.
Okay.
Unbelievable little, but he did it. I think he's always done it even from his youth days. I think that's why he's so good at it.
Yeah.
So he would sort of feign to do something and then he would just scoop it away, or it was. But he would catch boys out with it in the box, in around the box. But and his finishing was just calm.
Yeah,
he always calm in front of goal.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest thing to do, be calm when there's a chance like that. And he was, and that's and what he. Through doing that, not that he meant to do that, but the effect that the way he played and the impact was that if he's scoring goals, that then takes the pressure off us at the back.
It does.
We're not thinking so much, at 0-0. He would score goals, and you're like, right, so that's great. Not that we can switch off, but it's just that there's less pressure on us now. At say 0-0 or whatever. But his goals were, there was. He great career for the club as well, and it was a joy to play with. He was some boy, like because he was quite quiet as well. He was quite a quiet guy, but I think with a drink in him, his twin brother came out, so he was a bit different there. But
brilliant. Yeah. Okay, I always finish on the same question every time, Richard. If there's a penalty that needs scored to save your life, who takes the penalty?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what with this, what type of answer you're expecting. Is it just like a current thing, or what? Like,
so the majority answers, the most popular answer I've had is Matt Letizia. because I think he scored 46 out of 47. I've quite a lot of people willing to take the penalty themselves because they don't want to put the pressure on anyone else. It's whatever way you want to interpret the question. There's no.
I know. I tell you what, I definitely wouldn't be taking the penalty.
Is there anyone that sticks out from your career that could really take them?
It wasn't an area that I kind of really have a lot of sort of memories of.
Yeah. Were you ever involved, just kind of on the back of that, were you involved in any shootouts yourself and had to take penalties?
Yeah. I think I was involved in lots of shootouts, but I didn't take them. But I did take one for Cali. I think we were away to Motherwell, and I missed. So
okay, it won't be you then.
Or it definitely wouldn't be me. That was a poor penalty. No, I just thought with current the way things are going currently with players, I like the way Highland takes his penalties.
Smashes them.
He just runs up with just everything about. You just feel so confident he's going to score.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was the name that came to my head when I seen that question. So I'll go with him.
Brilliant. I do like that answer. Thank you for your time tonight, Richard. Really appreciate it. Anyone, get yourselves along. Watch. You can see Richard every 2 weeks doing it at Rothes. Working hard in the Highland League. Teams always work hard. There's no denying that. We've been kind of keeping an eye on you and wish you well for the season ahead, my man. And we'll speak to you soon, pal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, appreciate it.
Take care, my man. Okay.